Coming up on this week's news, a coroner has written to Hotpoint after a grandmother and her disabled son perished in a house fire caused by an electrical fault. A roofer is electrocuted while working on a house in Northern Ireland, and a new law says builders must reveal how they handle retention cash. Welcome to Electrical News Weekly in association with Solar Trade Sales, your easy one-stop shop for all things solar. Whether you're listening in the van, on-site or down at the wholesale counter, I'm Joe Robinson, and I've been through the best of the electrical industry news to save you the trouble.
And just to let you know, this is the last ever episode of Electrical News Weekly that I'll present. From the current studio, we're just moving premises.
So keep your eyes peeled for the new look studio next week. Take that, Gary Lineker. And as always, if you think you've spotted the two words that I've been challenged to slip into this week's show, comment with them below for the chance to win a prize. A coroner has written to Hotpoint after a grandmother and her disabled son perished in a house fire caused by an electrical fault in one of the brand's Whirlpool tumble dryers. 86-year-old Champa Gowrie and 66-year-old Deepak Bhatt died from inhalation injuries after the fire at their home in Edgware, West London in March in 2023. In his newly released report, Coroner Peter Straker says there was a 10% chance that the EMI filter in the dryer caused the fire and a 90% chance that the condensate pump was the culprit. The condenser pump discharges the water extracted from the clothes during the drying process. He lists as one of his key concerns that water getting into the pump may result in tracking faults, causing resistive heating and fire. He's now written to Hotpoint with his conclusions and requested that the company respond with its proposals and a timeline for action. Straker also raised issues over occupants sleeping while the product takes advantage of lower electricity rates. He recommends that manufacturers be required to use the Office for Product Safety and Standards risk assessment method, dubbed PRISM, to take into account householders and their likely actions. Hotpoint had yet to respond as eFix went to air. In other news, a roofer has been electrocuted while working on a house in County Armagh in Northern Ireland. Gareth Richardson, known as Paddy, may have touched a live cable while at the property in the town of Keady. The father of four was taken by air ambulance to the Royal Victoria Hospital in Belfast, where he was placed in an induced coma. He died 12 days later as a result of his injuries. His employer, David Jameson Roofing Services, said that Paddy was a popular character in the area who took great pride in his work. An investigation is expected to take place into the circumstances of the fatality, and we'll keep you posted about developments. The eFix team extends its sympathies to the family and friends of Mr. Richardson. The abuse of retention money has long been a source of contention in the trade. Typically, builders and other main contractors hold on to 5% of an electrical contract's value for a year. This is supposed to ensure that defects get rectified, but when the liability period is up, electricians hear a series of wearingly familiar reasons why the money can't be released. We're waiting to get paid ourselves, mate. We're expecting a practical completion certificate any day now. We're just getting final account approval. We need the warranties, the as-built drawings, the ops manuals, the insurance docs, and while you're at it, your diversity, equality and inclusion policy, and then you'll get paid. It's enough to make you feel like you should be voting for a faithful or a traitor. But now a new law is set to put pressure on builders. An amendment to the reporting on payment practice regulations has just been approved by the government. Starting next month, builders must disclose the ratio of retention cash that they're owed compared to what they owe in turn to their subbies. They must also reveal the percentage of retention money withheld from suppliers as a proportion of the total payments made to its suppliers. The Electrical Contracts Association hailed the new law, which it said followed its consistent lobbying. It said the regulation was a long-awaited win for the trade. The ECA's Rob Driscoll claimed the ruling would expose the size and nature of the problem of retentions abuse in the UK. The organisation says it worked with its equivalent organisations in Australia and New Zealand in shaping its demand for reform. The trade isn't alone in its financial challenges. Makers of green tech are getting squeezed too. MyEnergy, the Grimsby-based maker of home chargers and battery packs, has just reported a pre-tax loss of £25 million. Last year, it made a profit of almost £9 million. The firm blamed the downturn on weak demand and intense competition among suppliers of plug-in points. Rival chargers are increasingly being bundled with car sales and finance deals. It's also been revealed that company co-founder Jordan Brompton is stepping away from the business. Brompton said she wanted to spend more time with her family. We at eFix wish her all the very best in her future ventures. Meanwhile, another new wave green firm, energy supplier Octopus, is rolling out its zero bills contract to Scotland. Yes, you heard that right. The firm is giving Scottish customers a 10-year contract with no energy bills. What's the catch? Well, to be eligible, you need to be kitted out with solar panels and a battery at a minimum. You must also have no gas supply. The idea is that you generate more power than you use. Octopus says it aims to deliver 100,000 zero-bills homes by 2030 and has already rolled out the initiative in England, Germany and New Zealand. The company has also announced that installs which use Enphase solar and battery systems can benefit from its smart tariffs. Specifically, customers with the kit can use the intelligent Octopus flux rate. This allows dynamic buying and selling of electricity as well as the optimizing of charging and discharging of the battery. In product news this week is what's being termed the only bracket in the market that will allow you to install a metal backbox in a closed wall. The box strap bracket is a one-size-fits-all bit of kit. It works with both single and double metal backboxes up to 35mm in depth. If you want to use a 47mm backbox on a single layer plasterboard, you adjust the bracket by bending the corners. If you come up against a stud, you can simply turn the bracket vertically to avoid the clash. The product's been fire tested with Qualfire putty pads, and the fire testing info is available on the company's website. Also out this week, Knightsbridge has unveiled what it claims is the most powerful USB socket on the market. The dual USB-C outlets can charge 2 devices simultaneously at 45 watts and 18 watts, or it can power a single device at 65 watts. Knightsbridge says its secret ingredient is special gallium nitride tech, which achieves over 94% efficiency. It's not the only USB socket setting new standards in the market, however. BG says that its super fast range can now be insulation tested to 500 volts. This makes it compliant with the product standard BS 1363-2. It says the sockets don't need to be removed from the circuit during insulation resistance tests, saving time and simplifying testing. I did a breakdown of all the different power ratings of the BG sockets and where to use them, so check that out after this video. You'll find a link to that in the show notes. And speaking of testing with 500 volts DC, our question of the week came from our free training package from Doncaster Cables on cables and conductors, and asked the question, band 1 voltages are voltage bands not exceeding? The correct answer was, of course, 50 volts AC and 120 volts DC, and it was another below par showing on YouTube, with only 37% of people getting it right, while over on LinkedIn, for another record-breaking run of 4 weeks, more people got it right again, with 68% hitting the mark. I suspect our YouTube audience didn't quite read the question properly, so we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Don't forget to take the free training package from Doncaster Cables. You'll find the link to that in the show notes. Back to products now, and Knipex has launched what it terms stalk beak pliers. They feature a 40-degree bend to allow you to get into really awkward places. You can also cut with them thanks to hardened edges shaped for a pierced cut. This makes them suitable for both hard and soft cables and wires. The pliers are VDE tested, so they comply with safety standards for electrical work. And our very own Joe 3PO has been at eFix's top secret research and testing laboratory at Lincoln College, just off Monks Road, opposite the sandwich shop. Joe's been testing the new cable containment solution from CableBoss. The CB02 and the CB03 have been billed as a quick and easy solution for supporting cable in commercial installations and above suspended ceilings. To test this, Joe has gone head-to-head with the fastest chap he could find from the northeast, Andy Bellas. It's a great race and well worth a watch. As always, I've left links to the video and the CableBoss in the show notes. Now, the Microgeneration Certification Scheme has approved its first small turbine. The G11 from Rice Energy is now the only MCS certified wind product. The company says it's suitable for applications on farms, factories and community projects. It reveals that it's getting a lot of interest from customers who want to combine it with solar panels to ensure better energy security during the winter months. Meanwhile, solar panels are finding their way into the most unexpected places. A Dutch firm says it's integrated them into road surfaces. It's now planning a network of cycle lanes across the Netherlands. Also, the Swiss Railway Authority has approved the placing of solar panels between the rails of its tracks. Sunways, a local startup, is now planning to build an 18 kilowatt system along a 100-metre section of track in the canton of Neuchâtel. Looking forward to hearing how I've pronounced that wrong in this week's comments. While over in Germany, solar panels have become so cheap that householders are using them for fencing. Some say they're not even going to bother connecting them up. And on that bombshell, we've come to our usual reminder that we're in the market for your stories, your projects and your recommendations, as we'd like to share them with the wider eFix community. Send us pictures of your installs or let us know if you've come across any new kit that's making your job easier. And just before we get to your favourite bit of the show, where I reveal last week's challenge words and winners, we want to thank our premium partners. We couldn't make the news without you. First up, they're the people who've created the Swiss Army knife of solar inverters along with all-weather batteries. Very much the Boy Scouts of the solar industry. It's SunSync. And speaking of solar, with manufacturing powered by a massive solar PV array, they're literally the greenest test instrument maker in Europe, both physically and ethically. It's KPS. Now, are you a bit of a control freak? Motor control, that is. If so, with huge stocks and excellent service, check out Crompton Controls. As they said to me in a recent conversation, if we don't have it, then we can build it. With a new award-winning Lumo consumer unit and offering complete product support from their highly trained team, it's CPN QDIS. And the best thing to come out of Yorkshire since stainless steel, the home of EV Ultra and other groundbreaking and quality products, it's Doncaster Cables. Click the links in the show notes to find out more about these great brands. Big thanks to you all. We really appreciate your ongoing support for the news. Now, if you think you know the words that I've smuggled into this week's show, pop your guess into the comments. We'll take all the correct guesses and select one at random to be the winner of an eFix goodie bag prize. Answers submitted after about lunchtime on the Thursday after release will not be entered into the draw. Now let's reveal the winners of last week's challenge word competition. Last week's words were perplexing and horsepower. And the person to be selected from our electronic hat this week was nobody. Not one single person got both, so we're going to give Jenny a week off from sending out prizes, and hopefully this week's words were more obvious. We'll find out in a week's time. Thanks for listening to this episode of Electrical News Weekly in association with Solar Trade Sales, your easy one-stop shop for all things solar. Remember to click the link in the show notes to check out their online shop. Make sure you subscribe to receive the next update. Thanks for listening, and until next time, have a great week. Stay safe out there, and remember, there's no such thing as a torque-calibrated arm.